Subscribe to Simply Bitcoin.
He's a masochist, I think.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome into another episode of the Meme Factory podcast. This is test stream number 28. As you all know, there's never going to be a real stream. Only ever test streams. That way we can't get in trouble. And we can fake that any of this was ever real. Now, this evening, we are joined by a gentleman by the name of Peter McCormack. And Peter has a show, right? You have a podcast.
Yeah, I've got a podcast.
What tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? What do you do in the Bitcoin space?
Yeah, so I'm obviously I'm British. I'm what's known as a status cuck. I have a podcast about cryptocurrencies, and I talk to people about that and learn a little bit about it every week.
I mean, you don't have to be self-demeaning. You don't have to call yourself British.
I mean, I am.
I mean, okay. I mean, if you want. All right, so Peter, I know you're an avid. Yeah, fuck you and self. And I know you're an avid watcher of our show. You know how this runs. It's a very specifically focused podcast. We focus on technical analysis. We had Lin on a couple weeks ago. Don't know if we got Willy Woo scheduled yet, but we're just going to take all of your guests away from you.
Yeah,
he's free now. He's free now.
He's free.
He's dropping the news color.
Okay, yeah, he's sunsetting it or something.
Yeah.
All right, so Peter, the way we're actually able to make money, we don't have any big sponsors, but we do have an interesting way that we were able to generate more money. So we worked it out with our sponsors where if our guests read the ad copy, they'll actually pay us. So if you could check your DMs, I've sent you the ad copy. Whenever you're ready, just rip into that thing.
Okay. Is this the BlockFi ad?
Clearly.
We're all getting a car after that.
Okay. This episode of the Meme Factory podcast is brought to you by the hardworking men and women of Suscorp, their subsidiary Brownstream Data, and their product, The Gaslight. Do you find yourself working in environments overshadowed by independent thinkers and self-directed learners? Are authentic creators of value stealing the limelight that your ego deserves? Introducing The Gaslight from Brownstream Data. You can now take your message anywhere you like and dominate the space with the power of our industrial-grade gaslight. Is someone calling you a status cuck? Is there a pseudonymous account? Did I get that right? Is there a pseudonymous? Can't say it. Is there a pseudonymous account claiming that you won't pay on a well-publicized bet? Did you call a prominent Austrian economist a psychopath? Are your three-letter agency handlers getting mad that they're losing the narrative? Then look no further. Dig no deeper. Well, maybe a little deeper. Like all Brownstream Data products, the Gaslight is powered by the individual. Just shove the feeder hose up your rectum and turn your fecal outgassing into some powerful gaslighting. You've found the edge of the rabbit hole before you've begun to fathom how deep it goes, and finally it's time to shine. So don't dilly-dally. No time to research. Dig deeper and approach the incredible bounty of knowledge with a different, what's that say? Diffidence and humility. Remember, don't waste your energy swimming upstream against your detractors. Swim downstream with Brownstream. Fire up your gaslight and shine it on everything in sight. Awesome.
Well done. Well done.
Thanks.
Sorry, I made a couple of mistakes there, and also I couldn't just. There's a whole new word I didn't know in there.
That's okay. Yeah. Oh, we got the rainbow.
What the fuck is diffidence?
I don't know somebody else wrote. Another British person wrote that, so I figured you would know what it meant. You don't?
No, I don't know what diffidence is, but I'll be looking it up.
All right, so I've seen a couple of your podcasts. You never tell me what Bitcoin did. What gives?
Greg, you've got a lot of shit bringing me on, but people should know we're friends. We talk regularly.
We do. Yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
You tell me about the shows you like.
I do.
Your opinions you agree with.
Absolutely.
We tell each other to go fuck each other.
Absolutely.
Fuck each other
Mm-hmm.
all the time. Yeah. What was the question?
The question is, I mean, you named the show What Bitcoin Did, but I've never gotten an answer out of a single fucking show.
I mean, it did a lot of things.
I mean, it did once is the name of the show, and I have a problem with this. It's what do you mean? What happens? What did it do?
Wait,
what did it do?
It launched a podcast.
You're muted.
Greg muted
I mean,
himself.
that's the point. It launched a podcast. That's why it's called it.
All right, so got to get into the hard questions here. You're the only person I know who's had close contact with the man, and I'm super interested to know what Nayib Bukele smells like.
Yeah, good question. I don't remember smelling him.
Was it because you hadn't washed your own clothes in a few days?
Probably. I mean, I wear this shit like days on end, but I don't remember smelling him.
Okay.
He tastes good.
Like crumpet, like crumpets.
Trumpets.
No, like pupusa.
Oh,
Okay.
I was thinking that he smelled. I was thinking he smelled like a Metallica T-shirt. That was my guess.
All right, so Peter,
That's just me, bro.
you've had a hell of a couple of years, the last 2 years, with places you've just been able to go because of the podcast that you do. What's that been like?
I mean, it's been a lot of fun. I think getting to travel and see the world and meet other people and talk to people is one of the luckiest things you can ever get to do. If you have a job that means you can travel, I feel very fortunate, and I've got to see maybe 40 countries. So I feel very, very lucky, very fortunate to do it. And I hope it continues, depends how long it is till I get cancelled. But if I can continue doing this, then I feel very lucky, Greg, because it's I think it opens your eyes to a lot of things. You become a lot less. The more of the world I see, the lot less I become certain about my opinions, and you can't become a lot more considerate about the different people in the world who are facing different challenges or have different opinions or different cultures. So the more I travel, the more open-minded I become.
Yeah, about that, I have something ready. Nah, God damn it. Anyway, following that, did you enjoy the Greek-Turkish border? How was that? Did you get a gig with Vice?
No, I didn't get a gig with Vice. No, that was super interesting because we were out there making a film, and when we got to the border, there was like the crisis was going on because Erdogan was frustrated the number of migrants in the country. They started busing people to the borders, and I can't remember how many millions of migrants were in Turkey, but it's an access point for part of the world. And so they wanted Europe to take part of the load. So they were busing people up to the border. So we went up there to check it out. There's a lot of security. We got stopped 3 times. And then when we got to the border, it was just kind of like, I want to see this. So looking kind of hobo, I just like walked through, took my iPhone and went to see what it was about. And it was eye-opening and really, really fucking sad, to be honest. You just had a few thousand people just kind of building shelters under trees, hoping to try and get across the border because they want a better life. And there's people from all different parts of the world, like Afghanistan, Syria, Eritrea, places of economic hardship or from war zones. And they all, for me, were really decent people, happy to talk and just explaining that there's no opportunity or they've lost family members where they're living and they just want to go and try and build another life. So yeah, it was real eye-opening and humbling experience.
What got you out there in the first place? Was it was it something about the inflation going on over there, or was it just the humanitarian crisis that had you interested? Or?
No, this was prior to like the massive inflation they're seeing at in Turkey right now. No, this was purely the news came out of this massive migration of refugees to the border, and And you know, it was at a time when I was trying to expand just outside of Bitcoin. I mean, I like talking and interviewing people about Bitcoin, but sometimes I have to go a bit further because it's just like Bitcoin. It's a bit much, and I'm also interested in humanitarian stories or people stories. And just as soon as I heard about it, I was like, "Fuck it, let's go!" Jumped on a plane, and a few hours later, I was there. It was a really last minute decision.
Do you often like improvise moves like that? Because I do remember the tweets back
then. Yeah, I mean,
I remember you tweeting like, "I'm grabbing the plane and I'm just going to see what's happening."
Yeah, I just felt intrigued. It was a time when I was, exploring the idea of trying to learn about filmmaking. It's something I've always wanted to do. So the filmmaker I went to Venezuela with, he was on that side of the world. So I just called him up and said, "When can you be in Turkey?" And he said, "I can be there in like 10 hours." And I was like, "Well, I'll be there in 6. I'll meet you there." And yeah, it's just a spur of the moment decision. We did it. We made the film, and I mean, I learned a lot about it. I learned a lot about filmmaking in that very short amount of time. I don't think the film itself is particularly great, but it was an experience I'm glad I had.
This one totally by me. I never even saw this thing. When did it come? Where can you find it?
So it was interestingly, it was about a week before
Erdogan.gov.
Like February 2020. It was before the lockdowns all started. There was like those first kind of like spots of COVID, those stories of COVID. COVID had come out of China, was in like Italy and different like small little pockets around the world, but it was just prior to all the lockdowns happening.
Okay. And you recently for the last couple of years, you've been taking some heat on your COVID stances. Has your mind...
Of course, I take a heat a lot of my stances.
Now, has your position on any of the stuff surrounding COVID changed or mutated?
Well, I think it has to. You know, it's an evolving situation. The information you have in March 2020 is very different from the information you have in March 2022, and I think it's impossible not to have your position change during that. And there's a couple of like things with that. There's the changing like understanding of what it is, but there's also that changing understanding of how the world reacted to it, and then the changing understanding of, if you've got a Twitter account with 300,000 people, 400,000 people, sometimes the things you say matter more than when you said it with 2,000 people, and you have to take a step. And that's always a learning exercise, because your mistake is amplified to a lot of people, and so you have to rethink those. But yeah, of course, I mean, when the lockdowns first happened, I broadly agreed with them. I felt like, I interviewed a doctor in the UK, someone I know very well, and he was explaining to me how their hospital went from a couple of cases within a couple of days to completely filling up and declare an emergency. And it sounded like a serious situation. I'd also followed the reports in Italy, and, it sounded serious. So when I heard about lockdowns, I was like, yeah, I mean, that makes total sense. But obviously, in hindsight, and I've spoken about this, I've said, in hindsight, with what I know now, that lockdowns clearly work. Now, I never broadly supported an 8-month, 1 year, 2 year lockdown, but the introduction of the lockdown, when we were told 2-3 weeks, it made sense to me. But yeah, I mean, you can't help but have an evolving opinion of what's happened with regards to mandates and vaccines. I've never supported any mandates, but understanding of vaccines, who should, who shouldn't. I mean, everyone knows I'm vaccinated. I'm 43 and overweight. It kind of made sense for me. And I mean, at the time I got it because I wanted to go and see my dad in Ireland. I hadn't seen my dad for 18 months, and the only way you could see him was being vaccinated. And I didn't have any fear of the vaccine. My children aren't vaccinated. I've not been boosted. Like they're different decisions I've taken at different times based on the information I have. But these are complicated things, and perhaps my life would be a bit easier if I hadn't expressed my opinion to a few 100,000 people at times. But yeah, no, of course, it's an evolving situation that you just have to adapt. I think with these situations, you have to adapt to the information. You have to have the the balls to admit when you're wrong and say, you know what, I got that wrong. That's a mistake. And you have to learn from that in terms of like, yeah,
we're
you
human.
have to
We
learn
make mistakes. Right. Yeah.
But you also have to learn like there's that growing responsibility of having a platform or an audience that nothing prepares you for this. I set up a podcast as a joke, as a hobby, 4.5 years ago. I didn't think, in 4 years' time, I didn't even think I'd be doing it, let alone have a significant number of listeners or a significant number of followers on Twitter. Nobody trains you for this. It's essentially a test and learn, and you adapt to it. And that's something that isn't easy when you've got 1,000 followers, 10,000, 100,000. What happens with that platform evolves, and you just have to adapt to it.
By the way, I think you mentioned all three kind of go-to excuses I haven't seen you use in Twitter, so I wrote them down in a placard here in a sign. It says, "I'm an idiot, dude." Don't you know? Like sometimes you use that. You also use like, "I'm human, I make mistakes," a lot. And the third one, which is my favorite one, "You haven't changed your opinion ever," going through life. You use that a lot too. So it's nice. It's nice that I know you so much. I think Hans helped a lot.
He has a weird kind of obsession with me. So when I say I'm a moron or an idiot, that's really something I say on the podcast, not so much on Twitter. And that's by design to just disarm the audience. Bitcoin is a complicated subject, and
you play the role of the newbie. I get it. You play the role of the newbie.
And it's to disarm the audience and allow them to like feel like, don't worry if you don't understand it. There's other people who don't understand it, and that's fine. I'm human. I'm learning. Yeah, I mean, we're all fallible. I think one of the mistakes a lot of people make is holding an opinion and doubling down when they're wrong, and continue to double, triple down when clearly they're wrong. I mean, it's seen as a weakness to admit you're wrong. I think it's a strength. It's to admit you're wrong. And who the fuck is right all the time?
But Peter,
every single scenario holds the perfect opinion and never gets something wrong. It's just
no one.
It's bullshit.
It is bullshit, but also it's kind of bullshit to pretend that you don't know what you're doing on Twitter. Like you are at some point milking the engagement out of those tweets. Like,
no, I'm not.
Come on, man. Come on. Sometimes you love to be controversial. You love to be controversial and like stir up things up, don't you?
Not anymore. I mean, you can maybe put that to me a couple of years ago, but no, I don't. Like, I actually wrestle with it a lot. If you speak to my producer, Danny, like some of the tweets we talk about and we consider them, like, I don't want to stir things up sometimes because the heat it brings on you and the bullshit it brings on your life, it's stressful. People, you get a tweet wrong and people are like screenshotting it and pinging it at you for 2-3 years, or you're discussing on Twitter with a potential guest coming on and somebody replying and going, "Oh, but he said this." Like, it's stressful. I don't want to stir things up. No more than others. I mean, the people who accuse me of stirring it up are some of the biggest shit stirrers out there anyway. But no, I don't. I troll sometimes, yeah, sure. But I do take what I do with a huge sense of responsibility. But I can't do anything about accusations. I mean, they're just, they're gonna keep coming. Like, as long as I do this, people will accuse me or tell me what I was thinking or what my intentions were, even if I say they weren't. They will tell me what my intentions are. I can't really do much about that.
In the end, it's all about the narrative. You know that. So I remember you being with your Avi, with your electric guitar up a high, like playing the guitar. You remember that, Avi? So
that's my first one.
Yeah. So until then, I didn't know you. But here comes like crypto deleted. Like, what's your comment on that? How do you justify? You cannot say that crypto deleted and those tweets you make back then about a service.
Can you back?
Okay, so crypto deleted was a service that screenshot a lot of like known and big accounts on Twitter and it was a great kind of tool to archive deleted accounts, especially from traders, because like the traders, the TA guys, what they do is like they tweet two tweets, like one bearish, one bullish, and depending what happens, like they go back and delete the other one. So they always like seem like they have like know-how of the market. So that's how they win over newbies, and they have them like pay them for the paid groups and stuff like that, basically scamming people. So yeah, what's the deal with that? Like, why would you get behind what Loeb did back then? Like, how do you reason with that censorship?
Can you back up,
Yes.
Yellow? Because I don't know what you're talking about. What did Loeb do?
I do. So what?
Or-
Yes. So Loeb did a campaign to try and grift the account. I can't remember the actual term, right? And then it ended up having its account removed because there's like there's a Twitter policy where you're not meant to screenshot tweets or something. I can't remember.
True.
Remind me why it got removed.
So Loeb made a script basically, and he sent a script of his to Twitter. Then Twitter had to look of the engine that Crypto Deleted was using back then in Twitter. And because all of that, they of course, being Twitter, the love censorship shit. So they said like, you cannot do that on Twitter. And basically Crypto Deleted got banned because Loeb and at some point Peter don't like seeing their spelling mistakes or some shit. I don't know.
No, that wasn't that. I can tell you that. Also, it didn't the guy who ran it, didn't he also have his account removed?
Mr. Chop, yeah, he got banned.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what happened with that. I actually like Crypto Deleted tweets, and when it added me to it. One of the good things about it is, once you realize you're part of it, it made you think about the tweets you were putting out a bit more. Because like if you say something stupid, you delete it. It's gonna, I've deleted tweets. I've put out tweets before, and I've thought, you know what, that's fucking dumb. That's the wrong kind of trolling and whatever. And I've deleted them, and it made you think through it more. But what actually happened with that account? It wasn't just. So the account was running, and then it ended up getting quite a large following, right? And then it evolved beyond just being deleted tweets. The guy who ran the account started posting commentary, and he started personally going after people. I think he got in with some of the like carbon based. And so they started targeting specific accounts and trolling them and attacking them. And I messaged him. I said, listen, like your account's really cool, but you've turned this from Crypto Deleted Tweets, which is a service, to now arbitrarily choosing people you want to troll and attack.
He did that from his personal account, though.
No, he did that from Crypto Deleted Tweets. He did it for Crypto Deleted Tweets. You go back and find the tweets.
Okay, I'm not certain for that. Okay.
No, I'm telling you 100% that happened. Because I reached out to him and I said to him, listen, that's no longer a service now. This is you, and Crypto Deleted Tweets has now lost meaning. You're now arbitrarily choosing people to target and attack. So now this has gone from an objective list of all the Crypto Deleted Tweets to your subjective policy about who you want to troll and attack. And he just started attacking me. And I was like, right, okay, if you're going to attack me, then fuck you. Like, this is bullshit. And so when Lop came out and with this script, I was like, cool, yeah, I don't give a fuck about this account. It's completely destroyed.
So wait, when you don't,
do you want me to finish? Let me finish. It's destroyed its value as a service. And when it's arbitrarily attacking me over and over again and trolling me, why would I give a fuck if Lop does that? I thought it was quite funny. What I didn't like is his personal account getting closed down. Now that I thought was wrong. And I can't remember who I spoke to, but at the time somebody said to me, like, this is actually not good for him because he's actually got a private business and he uses his Twitter account to
Peter,
let me finish.
Well,
just to get business.
I want to clarify because I don't understand what the Lop script did. I still don't understand Lop's part in this. What is Lop?
There's an article. Go read it, you potato.
It grifted it, I think, in a way whereby like it would keep posting tweets and deleting them, so the account just became like almost like a spam of just bullshit. So it would create, tweet, delete. And then, so the feed just became a mess. And that was his way of saying,
DDoSing it.
You know, go back to being a list of deleted tweets. And if you're going to use this account to arbitrarily attack people, well, I'm just going to grift you back. I think that's, but I mean, this was a couple of years ago, so I can't remember.
Yeah, but Peter, when we disagree in this space, we don't get people banned, man. Like even if they're shitcoiners. Come on, you were behind Lob. Well, you and Lob were like body back then, like going on about like having crypto deleted. Like we all remember those we were back then.
No, I was there. I supported what Lot was doing because I think this account was arbitrarily attacking people rather than being crypto deleted. And why should I give a fuck about somebody's account where they're literally trolling me on a daily basis? That's not a way. Why should I empathize with that?
Mute it.
No, I've got.
Don't get it banned.
Fine, but I didn't get it banned. It's not my script. I just thought it was funny when it happened. I laughed at him. I did. But when I found out his personal account had been banned and that was affecting his business, like I don't know him directly. I can't remember who it was, but I said, listen, I don't agree with that. Tell him if he wants to come on the podcast, talk about what he does for his business and like try and like support his business. Then
so you're saying that all the followers that you already getting bigger back then, all your followers that you were seeing your tweets didn't report the crypto deleted account or Mr. Chalk's account. You're saying they didn't like a big majority of them like reported those accounts. Come on, man.
You can't put that on me.
Oh, okay.
You can't put that on me. But I reached out by somebody else. Said, look, Mr. Chalk can come on the podcast. If it can help promote him, help support his business, then it's free for him to come on. Now, I heard nothing back. But listen, he was arbitrarily trolling people. He turned a service into a troll. I mean, why should I give a fuck about somebody who's like attacking me? And you talk about that. I mean,
because he had a service that was saving newbies from getting scammed, man. Like traders were scamming people, newbies especially, and that service like was huge back then.
Yeah,
there was accountability.
Again, I liked the service. What I didn't like is when he realized he was getting a big following
against you.
And decided to turn it into a troll account and stop focusing on deleted tweets and arbitrarily attacking people. And those times where I was getting attacked, you've got to remember when it's attacking me, a lot of the time it's just like lies and bullshit. That's attacking me. That's attacking what I do. And that's not fair. So, yeah, I mean, when Lot did that, I laughed about it. I did think it was funny. But, yeah, you got to remember, I've had, over the last 4 years, a constant attack of people trying to cancel me as well and trying to cancel my...
I understand that.
And I've been on the end of it. If you're asking me would I do things differently, what I know now, yeah, I would do things differently. But at the time, you know, I was new to all this, and he was arbitrarily using an account that was for a service to just constantly attack me and make up stuff about me. So no, did I have any empathy at the time? No, I didn't. I had empathy for his personal account get removed, which is why I made the offer. Like, he can come on the podcast, and if that can help him, then not a problem.
It's not about empathy, sir. It's about freedom of speech. It's not about like you can hate the guy, you can mute the guy, you can block the guy. You don't get the guy banned. That's what I'm saying.
But I didn't get him banned. I laughed. I didn't get him banned. I laughed about him being banned. That's my free speech.
You were part of that free speech to get him silenced or put whatever word you want.
All right, so if I can back this up and put a bow on it, there was this crypto deleted account that was basically a service for newbies, so you could track whether or not these TA guys were full of shit. And at some point, it got shut down. This guy, from his personal account, started targeting particular people on Twitter.
No.
Just
he did
you?
It not from his personal account. He was doing it from the crypto deleted tweets account.
Okay.
That's the point.
Okay. So he did it from that.
Did it from that account.
And then Lop at some point decided to call bullshit, wrote a script that basically DDoSed the service, and you left, and at some point he got canceled or got his account banned. Am I following this?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on Telegram
That's
now.
just about exactly.
Go follow it.
All right. And I mean, the other thing, I wanted to bring up something more serious because I know, you had you had a lot to say about what kind of adverse reactions you had from your COVID shots, and we've got a sleuth. It's kind of associated with the Mean Factor. I don't know if you're familiar with the Bob Malacca's account. No. All right. Well, I mean, he dug up a picture that was we pulled. Well, he dug up a picture that was he's claiming was you outside of the testing center, and I want to pull it up, and you could tell me what you think you have to say about what was happening here. Tell me if you can see it.
No, that wasn't outside the testing center. That was outside Wembley at the Euro finals. I was so excited.
I don't get how
I couldn't help but rip my clothes off and get my little toad out.
I don't get how you could say that there's no adverse side effects when there's evidence like this.
No, I always had a little toad like that.
Okay. I mean, it's just something we wanted to get to the bottom of. I know Bob was thinking about tweeting it out, but I was, we got Peter coming on the show tonight. I might as well ask him about it.
Yeah, no, I always had that little toad. That wasn't anything to do with that's not an adverse reaction.
No,
I'm quite proud of it.
Okay, you can
see I'm proud of it.
You were clearly, but I didn't know if there was something affecting the way you were acting during that day or not. Mm-hmm. What are you drinking this evening?
No, I'm drinking Woodford.
Is that because it sounds like Bedford?
Cheers.
No, it's because I bought a bottle of. I wanted a bottle of Eagle Rare, and they would only sell it if all the Eagle Rare in this liquor store was packaged with another bottle. So to get the Eagle Rare, you had to buy the Woodford.
Okay. Now, why the fuck are you parking an Aston Martin in a garage that's this big?
It's just the size of my garage.
It bugs me.
How do you get out?
Garages.
How do you get out for real?
How do you get in and out of the thing? I don't fucking understand.
So strangely, as you go in, I reverse it in on that left. Well, the right side is a driver, left side looking in. The wall goes in, but what I've done is I glued a whole load of foam, so when I open the door, it doesn't scrape the door and I can get out.
I saw the foam; it was ingenious. I thought. I mean,
I've actually bought a new garage, which I'm very proud of, which can fit 2 in now.
And is the Aston still in the shit garage, or are you filling this new garage? So you've done nothing. You've done nothing to fix the situation. Is what you're telling me.
Well, I mean, I bought the new garage. I get it in 4 weeks.
Oh, see, it's on layaway.
How do you buy a garage?
So you buy a house and it comes with it.
Oh, you set yourself up for that, dog, Sean.
I was like, what are we doing? We're buying garages out here.
All right, man. So you're constantly growing what you're doing on the pod. Sometimes you have guests on that I don't watch. Sometimes you have guests on that I think are cool. What's the next step for the pod? How do you intend to move it forward?
Really just consistency. Just do the same. Get the people on I want to talk to and have the conversations I want to have, and that's always been my approach. Do I want to talk to them? Is it a conversation I want to have, and does that work for the listener? I don't do stuff for the listeners. I do it for me and build the audience around that, and that seems to be working. So that's it. Just I don't intend to change too much. We like doing them in person, so we travel out to a place. We're in Texas right now. We have an Airbnb. You can see the studio. We're actually in the studio, so we do that. We go out for a few weeks. We do a sprint of shows and then release them. But yeah, I don't intend to change too much. Just keep it the same. One of the things I have been doing a little bit more recently is there's a lot of podcasts out there, a lot of the same guests on the circuit talking about the same thing. So I have been trying to find new people who've got different ideas that they want to get out with regards to Bitcoin. Today I had Matthew Pines on, who just wrote a paper about Bitcoin and national security. And then also maybe just trying to get a few more people who are just outside the obvious Bitcoin circle. So I got Michael Malice coming back on soon. I had Eric Weinstein recently, but really not to change too much. Just consistently do the same thing. 3 shows a week, good conversations, broad set of people, conservatives, libertarians, moderates, liberals, and hopefully have a broad set of conversations that people enjoy.
Do you feel an extra pressure that your podcast is viewed as the go-to place for newcomers to learn about Bitcoin?
No, I don't feel any pressure. I always say, look, if you don't like the show, stop complaining. Just don't listen. Like everything is a marketplace for ideas. Bitcoin is an idea, and it's in a marketplace against fiat. And hopefully, enough people like the idea of Bitcoin versus fiat, and it will continue to grow and become a dominant reserve currency. But it's all about ideas. And if people like my show, great. If they stop listening and it declines in listeners, then in the marketplace it has failed. But no, I don't feel any pressure.
I'm not talking especially about the haters. I'm talking about like newcomers. Like if you feel like a sense of responsibility to provide.
I mean, I feel a sense of responsibility, but I don't feel any pressure. I've been doing it for 4.5 years, and
then you didn't install the gaslight
listen
properly.
To all the feedback. And I listen to all the feedback, read every email, and I think I'm doing an all right job. But I also recommend people listen to other podcasts. If you want to learn more technical things, then you should definitely go and listen to Stefan Rivera. If you want to listen to things more about kind of like privacy, then I would recommend going to listen to Marty and Matt Odell. Like there's a range of podcasts doing different things, and I think people should go and listen to a broad set of podcasts, get a broad set of ideas and a broad set of understanding. But I feel a responsibility, but I don't feel any pressure.
What is your favorite episode of your podcast?
Good question. Probably the first show I made with Lynn Ulbrich. I think it was like episode 10 or 12. I made that here in Austin, Texas, about 4 years ago, right now, actually, because it was a hobby. And then when I did that show, then I realized, even though this is a hobby, there's like important conversations to be had here. And after I recorded that one, like I've rethought about what it is what I was doing, rather than just like, oh, I'll just turn up and ask questions, press record and publish. I felt like that was somebody sharing a really important story with me, and I felt like after that I should take this seriously and treat it seriously. So it's probably my favorite one. But there's it's been a lot of shows I've made I've liked. I obviously really enjoyed the one I made with Nayib Bukele, because it's just surreal as fuck. You start a podcast as a hobby, and suddenly you're sat down with a president of a country doing an interview, which is just so surreal and humbling. I've enjoyed Michael Saylor just because he's just an incredible person to listen to. So many, but like there's some standout ones.
All right. So
what's your process like when you're getting ready for a podcast and you have a guest lined up? What's your process going into it?
So, oh shit, sorry. So can you hear me?
Yeah.
So there's a team now who work on the show. There's 6 people. So everyone's part of the process. So what happens is, firstly, we book where are we going, who lives there, who's in that city we want to talk to, and who are the people we want to talk to on in that city, and can we fly them in? And so we get the range of guests we want to do because of either we want to talk to them or we got a subject we want to do, and then as a team we split up who's going to do the background research. So one might be me, one might be my brother works on it, one might be Danny, one might be Ben. And that person goes and does all the research. And then the night before the show, me, my camera guy, Jeremy, and Danny, we sit down and we go through the notes and we say, what are the important things we want to talk about? What do we want to get out of the show? What do we think the listener wants to hear? What are the pressing questions? And so we filter those notes down to one of these, which is like it's called a blue card. And that's like the key talking points we want to get through. And then outside of that, it's really just trying to make sure I've slept well, because when you sat down with someone for 2 hours, you can be tired. It's like, when you're driving, you get super tired. It can be similar. You don't want to be tired. You want to be alert, because not only are you trying to follow what they're saying and follow up questions, but also if that answer becomes a dead end, you want to be ready for the next subject. So you're trying to manage a story arc of the conversation. So you got to be well slept. Sometimes, what I'm really lucky with, there's a whole team who does the production setup. They focus and allow me to just go and chill and relax while they do that. It might be a case of just going for a walk, or it might be a case of just, sometimes I've slept between interviews because, maybe I've flown in and I'm a bit jet lagged. I've done the first interview and I'm a bit fucked, and so I get some sleep. But everything's focused around producing the best product possible for the listener. So it's just being prepped in terms of understanding the guests, understanding the topics, understanding the difficult questions, and then also just being like mentally prepared. And so there's a lot that goes into it.
Do you ever like end up with a conversation with someone, and like sometimes it happens with us, right? We get talking on a certain topic, and then we just there's some questions that we do want to ask, and we just never end up asking them. And then does that ever happen with you? How do you kind of handle that?
Yeah, totally. Sometimes this sheet's in front of me and I don't even look at it. Just the conversation starts and you just run for an hour and a half, and it takes a natural course. Sometimes we sit down, we think, right, this show's going to be about this. We say, how you going? They say something, and you make an entirely different show, and nothing like it's, you've almost thought of the show title beforehand, and the whole thing changes. You can't prepare for that, and I think that's one of the things is, I don't just turn up. Like, I treat it like a career. I look at other interviewers and what do they do well, and what can I learn from that, and one of the best things you can do is just let an interview go where it's going to go. It's a bit like when you make a documentary. When I first made one, somebody said, don't do much planning, let the story find itself. So when you turn up, like I just made one in El Salvador, you just turn up, like, where are we going? Okay, we go here. Okay, then what happens? We go here. Ira Glass has got a really good video on YouTube about storytelling. This happens, then this happens, then this happens. And if you try and define the whole thing, you'll fail. You'll sound wooden, whereas if you let the story find itself, it kind of has a natural flow. And in interviews, it's exactly the same. These notes are here to help me, but if the interview arc goes somewhere else, it goes somewhere else.
All right. So which one or ones did you fuck up? Which did you do a really piss poor job? And are they still on the internet?
Are we talking interviews or court cases?
I'm talking interviews.
Okay.
I mean, I only have one lawsuit, and I took that as to help try and deflect the doxing that was attempted on Hodlernaut. He reached out to me and said, they're trying to dox me. I was like, well, I've got a platform and an audience. Let me take the hit and let me try and deflect that from you. Turned out to be something which I didn't expect, and I don't recommend anyone get into a lawsuit, certainly a libel lawsuit in the UK with rich people who are vindictive. It creates a lot of pressure on your life and your family, and it's rough. So I wouldn't recommend that. In terms of interviews, I mean, the bad ones are as important as the good ones. You learn a lot from the bad ones. I think the one that really stood out for me was the first time I interviewed Eric Weinstein. I'd heard some of his criticisms of Bitcoin, and I made the mistake of thinking my job was to go into there and try and convince him and debate him. And I'm not a good debater. I'm not a good guest on podcasts. I don't enjoy being interviewed. I don't think I add too much value. And I went into that one thinking, right, I need to defend Bitcoin and debate him. And I mean, if you've interviewed someone 5 times and become a friend, maybe you can get away with it. But when it's the first time and it's like an intellectual elite like Eric Weinstein, you're setting yourself up for a fail. And I thought I did a terrible job. And afterwards, I reflected on it a lot and thought about, we discussed it here. And I was like, fuck, I really fucked that up. I spent way too much time, it was a really interesting thing. It's when when you followed the YouTube comments in the first 2 days, it was pretty even. It was like Bitcoiners are like, yeah, Pete, you did a good job. Eric doesn't understand Bitcoin, and people who aren't Bitcoiners or shitcoiners just saying, oh, you did a terrible job. And then what happened over time is all the comments veered towards being negative ones. And what I realized is happening is these are the people searching for Eric Weinstein, finding the interview and listening to it, and they just saw me being hostile and difficult. And yeah, I reflected on that a lot. And I think I turned it around on the last interview I did with him. I realized like that's not my job. My job is to try and eke out answers from people. And so yeah, that was a bad one.
I remember, I think not too shortly after you had Gary V on, and instead of just talking to Gary V, I think you brought on Breedlove, so he could you were kind of like the mediator in that.
Yeah, see, the problem with that one, Gary V just interrupted all the way through. And
Yes.
What I should have done is I should have said, listen, Gary, like this isn't going to work if you keep interrupting. Like you know, I didn't moderate it as I should have. I should have said, look, you need to let people speak. You need to not interrupt, because it was just painful. But I didn't. You know, again, it's one of those learning exercises where you realize, oh shit, it's my show. I should fucking tell him that. I shouldn't be like, oh, it's Gary Vee. I'll let him like talk over people. Yeah, and there's a couple of times when I've moderated things where I've been like, you know, I need to put my foot down a bit more and you do the job of a moderator, because the job of a moderator is very different from an interviewer. Like they're essentially two different things. With a moderator, you're like a referee, whereas an interviewer, your job is to get answers out from them. But yeah, I mean, and I, you know, if you spoke to my producer Danny, we do an autopsy on every interview. We talk about what worked, what didn't. You know, there's a thing now, because we have a whole studio set up. When guests are coming in, the first 5-10 minutes, a lot of them are quite nervous, because I think it's quite intimidating. You come into like a room with lights and a whole group of people. I had it when I did the Bukele interview. I went into a room and it was just full of people and lights and cameras, and I was nervous as fuck. And I hadn't appreciated that people coming into this environment was making them nervous. So I did some research, found out some of the things you should do. So for example, get the guest sat in the chair and then hang out for 10-15 minutes, like talk to them, let them relax into the chair before you start recording. So there's lots of things around this, like we're always thinking about and doing the autopsy and like, how do we make it better, etc.
So if part of your process is sitting down 15 minutes early, why are you giving me shit for one to come on 15 minutes early?
I didn't want you to see my nerves.
Oh, fair enough. Mm-hmm. At least you saw the toad. Now we're getting towards the end of our hour, and I would be remiss if I didn't give you an opportunity to ask some questions of the Meme Factory members that are here this evening. So I'm going to turn it over to you for a bit.
I wasn't prepared for any questions. Why are the plebs so angry?
Because we can.
Some of them. I didn't hear that. What was that?
Because we can.
Because you can't be angry.
Cool.
I'm angry all the time, guys.
No, you're a big cuddly bear.
No, I'm angry all the time, and it comes out in the memes.
Did you find Shinobi's open dime or what? Maybe it's like between the couches.
No, Shinobi's been paid. Okay. Cool. Just ask him. He's been paid. Okay. He got paid instantly when he sent me his Bitcoin address.
Did you like old school email then open dime or?
No, I didn't know. I didn't know how to use an open dime. I told him that. I was like, send me a Bitcoin address. Like it was such a funny situation, because if you speak to anyone who works for me or has worked with me, I pay people quick. I don't hold on to invoices. Every single person who works with me gets paid well, and gets paid quick.
I know
so
that.
When
you pay people, I know that.
Yeah. So my camera guy, Jeremy, who will tell you here, if he gives me an invoice, it's paid within usually 24, 48 hours. Every single person I work with gets paid, and paid quick. Everyone gets looked after. Everyone's flights are paid for. If I can do it, I fly them like in like a decent seat. So when he was saying I was avoiding paying him, it's like the narrative, like it was one of those things that goes out and it publicly makes you look like an idiot. but it just doesn't match the reality.
Do you use a BTC server at all?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
Why do you think the plebs are mad? Like, obviously, when we said we were bringing you on the show, there are a lot of angry plebs. Why do you think? What do you think it is that gets plebs mad?
Who knows? Range of issues. I don't know. I mean, it's a range of issues. I mean, some of them I just think are mentally ill and probably need therapy. And
that's true.
I mean, some of them have it's the ones who just make up lies about you. You're like, what are you fucking doing? I think some of them are angry because they want the show to be a certain way, or they expect me to be a certain way. But I'm not, and I'm not going to change who I am just because someone's yelling at me. I just think don't listen to the show. There's like other shows out there you can listen to. I think some of them are anti-state LARPers who haven't really thought through the second order effects of the world they want to live in. And when I discuss certain ideas that don't fit within their worldview, they think I'm just a fucking idiot. I think some of them have rightly spotted things I've said which are dumb or stupid, and yeah, rightly have been pissed off about that. I think it's a range of things, but I think what it is, what's a shame is some of them I think give like this pleb group a bad name. There's some really decent, obviously, people who care about Bitcoin. Some of them are just fucking morons who are ruining it for other people, and I think it's a real shame. But it's just like I've blocked most of them just because it's really just I have no time or patience for it. Like I will always, anyone reached out to me, I'll always talk to them. Happy to talk through. I'll answer every question honestly, but I'm not going to spend time with people who are just liars or abusive or weird or stalkery, or who just spend all time making shit up about me or just posting memes about me. I just don't have time for it. Like I've got a lot on. But I think it's a range of things. I think some of them just probably have bad parents and haven't been brought up right, and just, yeah, it's a range of things.
Are we going to talk about the football club?
Talk about the football club?
Yeah, do you have a few minutes? Like, I think that's one of the projects that you're involved in. I love football.
I love football too.
So how did that happen?
Well, I looked into it 4 years ago. I wanted to buy a club 4 years ago, but the cost was too high, and I had no real financial plan for doing it. But obviously, in the 4 years since then, I've kind of built this platform and this audience, and I've got connections with a lot of people who've got Bitcoin companies. Mm-hmm. So I just came up with a plan. It's like, okay, let's buy a team. Let's see how far we can take it, and let's make it a team that Bitcoiners can get behind. And if via that, can we orange pill Bitcoiners, and can we just have a bit of fun? It's been great. I'm loving it.
How many years is it going to be before you guys win the championship in what, Premier League?
I mean, if we won consecutive promotions and then the title would be 10 years. That's not my goal. My goal right now is, can I get them in the Football League, which is the professional English league is 4 divisions. Mm-hmm. Premier League, Championship, League One, League Two. Bedford, where I'm from, has never had a team in the professional leagues. If I could get a team to League Two, that would be amazing. That's the goal. And then once we've done that, we'll look further. But that's 6 promotions away. If we can do that in the next 6 to 10 years, to me, that would be incredible. And it'd be incredible. Like where I'm from, Bedford, it's a deprived town.
Is it a working town? Is it a working town like ex-steel and stuff like that? What is it?
No, I mean, there used to be a thing called London Brick. It's more like a London satellite town where people may, there's a brain drain of smart people into London commuting for opportunity there.
Okay.
But a lot of the industry that existed during the 70s, 80s, 90s has gone. And it has benefited from people moving back from London. But it is a deprived area. There is poverty within the town, and I just think it'd be quite cool for it to have a little bit of success around the football team.
Cool. Cool. If you're interested, I'm playing from 1999 Football Manager. So whenever you need like a new player, like you can always DM me, so I can ignore you. No, I'm kidding.
What position do you play, Yellow?
Nah, man. I'm in my couch and I'm like flipping players, like video game.
Oh, FIFA.
I got you.
Nah, Football Manager. It's like you're like the coach or some shit, the owner. Anyway.
All right. So I know RD. We usually save his question to the end. We're coming up on our hour here.
The coolest
I
question.
was wondering when he was going to speak.
He has the most important part of the show.
He's shy.
Yeah.
He stays on mute the whole time.
Unless he's pissed at you, then you get an unmute.
RD is savage in the meme making, but like he's shy when he speaks.
All right. Let the man talk.
Can't get a word in edgeways here, boys. Okay, Pete. This is the important question. If the meme fumble
RD,
words.
you have one fucking question.
If the meme factory did exist, and we all know it doesn't, who would you like? Who would you retweet? And who would you mute?
Out of you four.
Sure.
I mean,
out of the whole meme factory that doesn't exist.
God, who would I like? Who would I retweet? Who would I mute? Good question. I would like Greg because I like Greg.
Okay.
Great. All right. I usually get muted.
Who would I retweet? I would retweet you, RD, for coming to the show. I feel bad leaving Big Sean Harris out, but I've only just met you, dude. So hopefully we can meet in person sometime, have a drink, and I mean, I'd obviously mute Yellow.
Yeah, sure.
I think that's the first mute Yellow has ever gotten.
I accept that. It's fair.
All right, so Peter, you've been very generous with your time this evening. I want to say thank you for coming on the show.
Anytime, brother.
Is there anything you want to tell our broad audience here this evening of any of your projects coming up? Anything you want to point them to?
No, all I would say is like I will continue to like mute and block idiots and morons, but I also at the same time, like if there's any plebs out there who've got an interesting project and they think I can help, I do donate Bitcoin to projects. I do help raise awareness of projects. I think I'm doing something with Pleb Lab here in Texas at the end of the month. More than happy to help and support. Absolutely no problem at all. Just reach out to me, drop me a DM, drop me an email, let me know. And apart from that, good luck to everyone out there building stuff and doing stuff for Bitcoin. And appreciate you having me on, and more than happy to do it in the future if you ever think you'd like me on.
Definitely, Peter. So we're going to play it out here, but for anybody who's interested, I've got anywhere you can find Peter in the show notes. All of his links are in there, including a name he made up for himself that we put in there. And I hope you all have a good evening. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
No, thanks.
Yeah, thanks.